Hello everyone. One of my subscribers requested me to make a video on cutting cycle, which I had already made in Hindi language. He was not good with Hindi, so he requested me to cover it in English language. So this video is for all those people who want to understand the cutting cycle and the difference between the cutting cycle and the gaining cycle, and cutting drugs and gaining drugs and difference between them. Be patient and try to watch it till the end so that you can understand more clearly that what cutting cycle exactly is. Cutting cycle is a cycle where such type of drugs are used which do not aromatize. So what is aromatization? Aromatization is a process where an enzyme in our body, which is known as aromatase, it actually converts our excess testosterone or excess androgens into estrogen. So this aromatase is basically a converter of androgens into estrogen. The drugs that aromatize easily or aromatize in a more quantity are generally not used during the cutting cycle. All the DHT derivatives, dihydrotestosterone derivatives, are not aromatized easily. In fact, they are not aromatized. So all these drugs are generally used in the cutting cycle, as well as they are used in the gaining cycle, but they are also used preferably in the cutting cycle, which include oxandrolone, which is known as anavar, proviron, which is known as mesterolone, drostanolone propionate, which is an injectable drug. So these are the main drugs that are not aromatized. Then there is one more drug which is a DHT derivative. Its name is oxymethylone. It is not aromatized, but it competes with estrogen and it gets attached to the estrogen receptors, and many people have experienced oxymethylone induced gyno. Okay, it is a rare thing, but it happens. So generally oxymethylone is used, but in a very special case and very short duration. These cutting drugs also include trenbolone, which is basically altered nandrolone. It is derived from nandrolone. There are some alterations made into nandrolone and it is converted into trenbolone. Trenbolone doesn't aromatize easily, but nandrolone does aromatize easily. So trenbolone is also used during the cutting cycle. Now gaining. Now see, in the gaining you need little bit of estrogen because estrogen is good for bone health, it is good for your skin, it is good for your fertility, your hair, which I don't have. So estrogen also has its functions in a male body. That's why we have estrogen, limited amount, to regulate all these things. This estrogen is little bit increased during the gaining cycle. So what it does is it helps our bone get minerals, it strengthens our bones. Okay, so it is not such that you should not take compound that aromatize. In fact, for joint health and everything, gaining drugs are the most important thing that keep our joints safe. In fact, they help our joints to be healthy because they increase the synovial fluid in between the cartilage, causing less friction to the cartilages when you are in motion or you are lifting high weights. So this is also another aspect that you need to understand. So gaining drugs are like decadurabolin, which is nandrolone, a decanoate. Decanoate is the ester attached to the nandrolone. Nandrolone is the main drug. So we have boldenone, which is another drug, which is basically a testosterone derivative. So it also aromatizes very well. Then you have got Dynabol, which is an oral steroid. Then all the testosterone, whichever testosterone is there, is going to get aromatized. Okay, so that is also another part. So testosterone, then this Deca, then this Dynabol, Boldinon, all these are basically Sustanon is another mixture of a different type of esters attached to testosterone. So it comes in the testosterone family. So all these drugs aromatize and they are generally used in gaining. In the cutting season, testosterone is generally limited to 300 milligrams per week, whereas in the gaining season, testosterone intake goes as high as 1 gram to 1.5 gram in elite bodybuilders. I'm talking about people who have a muscle mass of 100 kilo plus. I'm not talking about people who are 85 kilos of weight. No, their 500 mg testosterone to 750 mg testosterone is more than enough to maintain that amount of muscle mass. So testosterone is used in gaining season, and in cutting it is used in the form of testosterone propionate to retain muscle. So now what is the purpose of cutting? In the cutting cycle, the main purpose of the whole cycle is that you preserve your muscles that you have gained in the gaining cycle, and at the same time you get a good amount of fat loss and little bit of water loss. But the most important aspect here is fat loss first. You should go to single digit fat percentage, then you would look good on the stage, or you have got more chances to win the competition. Otherwise, if you are on 12% after using the cutting drugs, you don't stand any chance, because everyone is preparing to their best, trying to do the maximum they can. There is a huge amount of competition out there. So that said, cutting cycle should not be prolonged more than 2 to 3 months, because these drugs like trenbolone is very dangerous if taken longer than 2 months. Okay, it is hepatotoxic, it is kidney toxic, it also is not good for your heart. So trenbolone is definitely a very dangerous drug. At the same time, it causes lots of aggression. Generally, stenazolol is used for last 3 weeks, 50 mg per day to 30 mg per day, depends on the person's weight. And then in the last 15 days, halotestin is introduced, which is known as floximisterone also, for 5 mg to 15 mg daily, which helps you retain your muscles, very less calorie intake. So what happens is that your beta 2 receptors will definitely do their job of burning the fat as the fuel, and your muscles would be spared because of all these things. And of course they use clenbuterol for every day 140 mcg tablet. They generally don't exceed more than 80. The elite bodybuilders, Olympians, they don't exceed more than 60 mcg. But in India, there are many people who give 5 tablets of clenbuterol every day, which is around 200 mcg. It is basically a slow poison if taken in this quantity, because it is very bad for our heart. It is very dangerous. So in the long run, I'm not saying that if you use for 7 days, 12 days, it is not going to cause any problem. But definitely in the longer run, it causes lots of problem to your heart. So clenbuterol has to be taken care of. It should not be exceeded more than 14 days on, 14 days off, and that too 40 mcg in the morning is enough. T3 is also taken 25 to 50 mcg in the night time, because it gives you good sleep. Okay, and also it helps you lose more fat when taken along with the performance enhancing drugs. So if you take it just separately, then it is like a terrorist, indiscriminate. It will burn your fat, it will burn your muscle. T3 should not be taken in the last 10 days that are remaining before your competition. You should not take it, because your muscles will not get hardened up. Generally they become loose. So that's not a good idea to continue T3 in the last 10 days. Clenbuterol should be stopped, just before the last 7 days are remaining, completely stopped. And the last 7 days are the most crucial before you go to stage. Okay, so that is a separate story, but this is basically the overall structure of a cutting cycle, which includes one progestin based steroid, one DHT based steroid, and one testosterone based steroid with some orals here and there like anavar, stenozolol, halotestin. This is basically it. Okay, with few fat burners with, like, beta 2 agonist like clenbuterol. What is a beta 2 agonist? Basically, the beta 2 receptors, when agonized, will induce fat loss. Okay, so it is basically a beta 2 agonist. So that's how clenbuterol works. So this was basically the cutting cycle. I've tried to explain what exactly it is. I hope I have not missed anything, and I hope you liked my video, enjoyed my video, and I'll come up with newer topics in my coming videos. Till then, be safe, be strong, and have a nice day.